guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing my November wrap-up. I have filmed a September one and an October one, and I never ended up posting them. So, hopefully this one comes out. The first book that I read this month is As If on Cue by Marissa Cantor. I read this book. It's a fairly new release for a YA romance. This was in my YA romance recommendation video, and I absolutely love it. If you go to my Goodreads account, I gave it a 5 out of 5. Well, it was more of like a 4.5 out of 5, but I ended up rounding into a 5 out of 5 anyway because I just loved it so much. It was really good. I enjoyed it. It took me a little bit to get through, but it only took me like 3 days, I think, actually. My one critique in it is Natalie, the main girl. She was kind of annoying in my opinion at times, but I tend to remember that these are teenagers, so a lot of stuff going through her mind. I wouldn't be surprised if I thought before previously when I was younger. I'm still a teenager. I am turning 17. I'm 16, so this has Jewish representation in it, so I know Rachel and Solomon actually has a review up on the top, who is a very famous, popular Jewish author whose a lot of main characters are Jewish and have Jewish representation in it. This is also a enemies to lovers, so if you like enemies to lovers, academic rivals, definitely read this. And it's about these two people who end up pranking each other so much that they end up going too far. She ends up going too far, and they have to write a musical together to save the fine arts department. I lied to you. That was actually not the first book that I read. I just completely remembered. I read It Ends With Us, and I gave this a 4 out of 5. I know, personally, I think I would have given this a 5 out of 5, or it would have affected me a lot more if I already didn't know basically the whole entire gist of the book. Like, I knew the plot twist that was happening, and I wasn't surprised at all. And personally for me, if something is spoiled, it's hard for me to fully invest in it because I already know what's going to happen, and it just sets my expectations up. So personally, I gave it a 4 out of 5. I still think it was beautifully written. I absolutely love the story and about Lily and her growth throughout the entire book. And I like how the alternating timelines are explained, so I definitely do like that. Recommend this book a lot. Definitely search up the trigger warnings for it though. My friend gave this a 5 out of 5 after she read it, so we both did really like it. I just personally didn't like it as much as like November 9 and stuff like that, but that's because I think I just would have liked it a lot more if I didn't already know what I was going into. The next book is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong, and I gave this a 4 out of 5 instead of 5 out of 5, but I'm seriously thinking of changing it to a 5 out of 5. I think about this book all the time. It's so good. Here I have the second book that just came out this month, by the way, when I'm filming this, and I got the last signed copy in the Barnes & Nobles that I have. I've heard some people think this is just mediocre, but personally, I really like this book. The way it's written is so well written, in my opinion. I like the stylistic choices of it. The main characters are Asian leads. I also like the fantasy element and the monster that is developed in this book. A Romeo and Juliet retelling between an Asian main character and the other guy is Russian. It's of rivaling gangs of past, and the two of them, the two heirs of each of the gangs, the Scarlets and the White Flowers, they used to be lovers, and then he betrayed her. So they don't talk anymore, and they absolutely hate each other, like want to kill each other. Juliet absolutely wants to kill him and everything. So that's how the premise for this book, like enemies to lovers, like As If on Cue was enemies to lovers, but that was like, oh, like I hate you, but I don't really hate you. No, this is enemies to lovers. Like if you want an actual enemies to lovers, definitely read this. And it's a fantasy too, and I don't really read fantasy all that much, and I really like this, so definitely recommend this book. Out of all the books that I've read, this is definitely one of my favorites. Next book I read is We Can't Keep Meeting Like This by Rachel and Solomon, who also happens to be my favorite author. However, sadly, while I did absolutely adore and love Today, Tonight, Tomorrow, and The X Talk, this book just did not live up to the same expectations. I gave it a 3 out of 5. And it wasn't bad. It wasn't that it was bad. It was just that it wasn't memorable to me. It was explained, I think, like an enemies to lovers, second chance not necessarily second chance romance, but like, I don't know how to explain it exactly on what the trope would be, but they aren't really on really good terms when they first meet up in the beginning of the book again. So there is Jewish representation in this book, like there usually is in all Rachel and Solomon's books, and there's also Muslim representation. However, Rachel and Solomon is not Muslim, so definitely check reviews out by people who happen to be Muslim and practice and everything, because I saw the reviews on that, and I personally am not, so I do not have a say in that. Also is eczema representation, which becomes a pretty good part of the plot. Not like a really super important plot, but I personally really enjoyed that part of the book because I had really bad eczema, and it took me so long to get to like how my skin is now, so I enjoyed reading that in a book. I love Rachel and Solomon's writing because of the chemistry and witty banter that she can put between two characters, and I think it was just really lacking in this book. I felt like they were good together, but I also felt like they were okay apart. So that's just how I felt. It wasn't bad, it just wasn't super memorable. However, Rowan and Neil from Today Died Tomorrow, my absolutely favorite book in the world, they show up in this book. So I absolutely love that though. The next book I read is definitely on the heavier side, and that is The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith. This story is about Eden, who gets, before like the summer, I believe it's the summer before freshman year, she gets raped by her brother's best friend. And she doesn't tell anyone about it. And it's her entire high school life and how she copes with it. Such a good book. The way it's written, it's split up in 4 different parts. It's split up between freshman year, sophomore year, junior, and then senior year, and it tells you the entire thing. Basically, this book, I related to the main character a lot during certain choices that she has made because of what has happened. And personally, this book is beautiful, and I think everybody should pick it up. 4 out of 5. It's still a very good book, and I think everybody should read it. The next book I read is Love Boat Taipei by Abigail Huen. I'm so sorry. This is becoming a movie. I found that out after I read it. I gave this book a 4 out of 5. I thought it was going to be like a 3 out of 5 at first because it was kind of slow in the beginning, but towards a part, like maybe the half point of the book, I could not put it down. It's so good. I personally really liked it. There definitely is issues in it that when researching on reviews after I finish it, that I can see their point, but personally I really like this book. It's about Ever Wan, or because her name's Everett, but people call her Ever, and her parents end up sending her to like this sort of summer program school in Taipei, and she ends up meeting this group of friends and everything, and you get to see her navigate her life with there, and she's struggling a lot internally and with her family and her parents because they have set her up for a medical career and started her on that, but she really loves dancing and wants to pursue dancing. I can see some people would think it's like cliche, but personally I relate to that, not to like the extent that Ever does obviously, but I want to pursue fine arts as a female Asian. I just found myself relating to Ever a lot, and a lot of stuff that went through her brain. I found her character to be very relatable. My one issue is one of the side characters, I don't know if I want to fight them or if I want to hug them, because there's something that happens in the book. I don't want to spoil anything, but something happens in the book between one of the side characters, and I personally don't think I could ever forgive what this person did. Ever does. So that was like my main issue with the book. Other than that, I definitely really liked it and I really recommend it. So I gave this a 4 out of 5. And the last book that I read this month is my absolute favorite book that I read this month, and that is Sadie by Courtney Summers. Oh my god. Okay, I gave this a 5 out of 5, obviously for obvious reasons. It is such a good book. I went into this blind, and I'm glad I went into this blind. Popular radio personnel Wes McCrae receives a desperate phone call from a stranger imploring him to find 19-year-old runaway Sadie Hunter. He's not convinced there's a story there. Girls go missing all the time. But when it's revealed that Sadie fled home after a brutal murder of her little sister Maddie, Wes travels to the small town of Cold Creek, Colorado to uncover what happened. Sadie has no idea that her journey to avenge her sister will soon become the subject of a blockbuster podcast. Armed with a switchblade, Sadie follows meager clues, hoping they'll lead her to the man who took Maddie's life, because she's determined to make him pay with his own. Basically the premise of it, and it's dual point of view in a way. You get the podcast and then it switches to Sadie's point of view. This book made me so upset, so sad. I was disgusted. It full body chills. This book was just so good, and I can't comprehend or put it into really good words, but I just think everybody should read this book. Definitely, if you are sensitive, search up the trigger warnings. Don't go into this wanting some mystery, thriller, scary book. Go into this expecting to be sad, because it's not your typical mystery thriller book. So that's all I will say about this. It's just so good. Please, it's so good. Please read it. So that is all of the books that I read in the month of November. I'm really sorry for not explaining the books necessarily. I just wanted to get my opinions out on the books, not necessarily talk about what the books are. I would talk about what the books are for recommendations more of and other videos like that. If you enjoyed this video, please like and comment down below what other videos you want. As you can see, my bookshelves are definitely beginning to fill up more, so I might do a bookshelf like tour sometime. So yeah, let me know if you're interested in that. Comment down below other videos or recommendations you want to see, and make sure to subscribe because that would be really cool. Also, I want to show my cardigan. So this is my outfit for the day. It's so cute. I love Studio Ghibli. Anyway, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you next time. Bye!